Welcome to Tram for Two, a series where I take my guests on a tram ride through Zurich. You might wonder, how is it to be my right hand, the second pair of ears? Today we'll meet my new assistant, Margarita Balanas. First things first, you're a successful young cellist. Why do you want to conduct?
I always was fascinated with conducting, and even though I was playing the cello, I always took master classes and went to rehearsals to observe how conductors work, and I really found it fascinating how they can solve problems, how they can affect music.
It's an interesting thing because on one hand I find that the entire image of conductors somehow is being a little bit questioned this world and these days. Meanwhile, more and more people want to become conductors. And I don't quite understand what is it that makes a young person want to be a conductor. In my case, it was very simple. My father was a conductor. I loved my father, loved him to this day. So everybody in our family is a conductor. We have 4 conductors. My father's brother, my father, my brother, and me. But you're a cellist, your sister is a violinist.
Actually, you mentioned Pärnu Festival and Järvi Academy. It was the turning point for me, the masterclass. I still remember the first time I stepped on the podium, and you have the whole orchestra, and it becomes sort of an addiction. I think once you try it, you're completely convinced.
It is totally addiction.
Yeah.
I see it exactly the same way. Yeah. For me, of course, I think the right answer would have been, your answer is also great, is the orchestral repertoire.
Of course.
Obviously, you have a very talented sister, a fantastic violinist, you're a great cellist. You want to combine these two things. You want to combine these two lives, obviously.
Yes, I do very much enjoy playing together with my sister as a cellist.
And your brother is a violinist.
Also a violinist, yeah. He's more of a cool guy. He plays arrangements, crossover. We used to play a lot together, but now he doesn't need me because he has the technology. He can play loop pedals, 6-string violins, custom ordered, crazy.
I think the coolest person in my family is my brother. Because my brother Christian, the things that he does is something that's hard to describe, because it's a kind of an orchestra that is playing everything by memory, and he does all these big shows with lighting, and I don't even know, he composes pieces, and it's a total happening, and it's so cool. And he certainly is the coolest one. We are just conservative classical musicians, boring, doing the same music. But actually, I think that we're all pretty cool. My father is pretty cool too, because he's in his 86th birthday. He's now preparing for Mahler 8th Symphony. I mean, if you're 86 years old and you still want to conduct Mahler 8, you're pretty damn cool.
Well, I grew up in a tiny town in Latvia. We basically all lived in one room, and for us, music was always around. We sang rock and roll when we were kids. Our dad taught himself how to play guitar, and we would sing in festivals. I was on stage when I was 2 years old. And I was afraid of the drums, so my dad had to hold me.
Yeah.
We have many funny stories, and basically we moved into classical music. We retired into classical music from our rock and roll career.
So we both have a little bit of rock and roll background. I used to play drums in a rock band as well.
I actually wanted to ask you a question. When you were an assistant, because you always have incredible stories.
Well, I have never been officially
an
assistant with a conductor at the house, in a concert hall. I have been kind of unofficially sitting in and being kind of talking to the conductors and so on. But here it's a real position. You are working in Tonhalle Orchestra as an assistant. And what do you think is going to happen here?
Firstly, repertoire. There's a huge amount of repertoire, and I get to learn it in depth. And also I get to learn all your secrets. That for me is the most greatest thing. Also, how you work in rehearsals, you manage to find things really quickly and solve whatever needs to be solved, and you can hear improvement, within a matter of seconds. How do you choose your assistant conductors?
I think that it is a combination of many abilities. More important than anything else for me now, not always, that hasn't always been like this, but now is a real personality. A person has to have presence, a spark, something that immediately attracts you to this person. You have that. Something that is very important, because then of course there is the whole musical side, which is equally important: knowledge, determination, intelligence, musical talent, a physical talent for conducting, or at least some kind of affinity for the physical side of it. But none of it would really matter if the person doesn't have some. I need to see the eyes burning, saying like, I want this, and this is exciting for me.
You've always had female conducting assistants. Why is that?
I teach conducting way before it became fashionable. I've always had 50% of female conductors. But for me, it is not an issue, because if somebody is talented and able to conduct, the sex has no bearing. I also think that in today's world, where clearly there is a kind of a new dawn for female conductors, there are amazing number of female conductors. If you look in the podiums and see some brochures of all the famous orchestras and less famous orchestras, many music directors, so it's becoming norm.
I only wonder, when are we gonna lose the word female? I think it's just conductor, female, male, it's just conductor.
I think so too, but if it goes with the speed that it's going now, then it will happen soon. The most important thing is to dress exactly like me.
I start that.
As you can see, you're dressing exactly like me.
It's a good start.
Without even coordinating. Now, this is that talent.
It's telepathy,
Yes. Thank you, Margarita, for this wonderful interview. Very much looking forward to our year together here in Zurich.
Thank you so much as well. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for taking me on this ride.
Thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned for the next episodes.